I honestly don't even know what this series is about. Let's see what the results are. She cups his skull under her hand.
Well, I'm off.
Hi everyone, it's me. Welcome to Bookmas episode 5. Today we are going to do something so fun. I mean, all of Bookmas has been really fun, but this one is extra fun because you get a say today in what I read. So in this video, I am going to let you guys help me choose my next read. We're definitely gonna read one book in this video, maybe two. We'll just see how much time we have because I do have to keep up with the Bookmas uploads. But yeah, I'm gonna let you guys choose what I read. So I think I'm going to post a poll both here on YouTube as well as on Instagram just to get like more votes in. Hopefully we get the same top book on YouTube and Instagram, but if not, I'll just tally up the total votes and then choose that way. First of all, I am going to choose 4 books that are currently on my shelf in my TBR, and then I'm gonna make some polls. Let's go choose. Okay, so I definitely think I want to include Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This book is so high on my TBR. I know that in a previous video when I bought this book, some of you said I should start with Mistborn first, and I'll definitely jump to that next if I do like this book and decide that I do like Brandon Sanderson's writing. But just because I have this book already and it's a standalone, I definitely think I'm gonna stick to this first. There was a book in my November TBR video that I actually never got to. None of This Is True by Jewell. This is a thriller, which actually could be really fun because I just did a week of reading fantasy and maybe it would be fun to jump to another genre. And yeah, I summarized this book in my November TBR video, but that's gonna be my second pick. Oh my gosh, there are so many books I want to read. I'm gonna pick 2 more. I want to add either What the River Knows or The Hurricane Wars, but I don't want to add both of them. Maybe I do want to add both of them. Because there is another book that I want to get into as well. I'm going to put Hurricane Wars back on the shelf. Although I really do want to read that book. But I'm gonna add What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I got this from Book of the Month. I actually got None of This Is True from Book of the Month as well. Not sponsored, I pay for it myself. But this is a historical fantasy. It's got rivals to lovers romance, and apparently it has like mummy vibes. That's gonna be 3rd on my list, and then 4th, I'm gonna have to get it out of this box set. Oh no, but I want to include Poppy War too. I guess Poppy War will have to wait. It's always so hard getting the first book out from a box set. Why are they squeezed in there so tightly? Okay, there we go. 4th book I'm going to add is A Darker Shade of Magic because I have this box set from V.E. Schwab, this box set, and also her new book, Fragile Threads of Power, and I just need to start tackling V.E. Schwab. So this is going to be my 4th book I'm gonna add to my poll. I honestly don't even know what this series is about. I bought the Fragile Threads of Power first because it was on Book of the Month, but then I heard that you kind of have to read this series first before you get into her new book, so I just bought this box set, but I honestly didn't look it up. All I know is that I love V.E. Schwab's writing, and sometimes it's fun just going into a book a little bit more blind. But okay, I have my 4 book picks. Let's make our little poll now. I'm gonna put these books in a cute little pattern of 4. Okay, hopefully, woo, losing my balance. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna do my Instagram poll first. Choose my next read. Okay, I think that's good. I'm gonna post the Instagram one now. Okay, and now let's do the YouTube. We need to add the same options. I don't think I can add an image to a YouTube poll. If you can, I don't know how to do it. So I think this is good to go up. Post. Okay, both polls are up. I'm gonna give it 24 hours and then I'll see which book wins. Good morning, you guys. It is the next day. It's been 24 hours since we posted our polls yesterday, so let's see what the results are. I'm really excited. Let's check Instagram first. How do we look at old stories again? How do I use this app? It's an archive, right? Yeah. Okay. Ooh! All right, there are the results. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell won by a pretty significant amount also. After that, A Darker Shade of Magic and What the River Knows were pretty dang close. And then in last place, but not too far behind, was Tress of the Emerald Sea, which I'm actually kind of surprised about because I know that Brandon Sanderson is very, very, very popular. So yeah, that is surprising. Okay, but so far, None of This Is True is going to be our read, but let's check our YouTube poll as well. Okay, are you guys ready? Interesting. So None of This Is True also won by a good amount on YouTube. So that's going to be our pick. But then the results are kind of different for the rest of it. So A Darker Shade of Magic got second place, Tress of the Emerald Sea third, and then What the River Knows fourth. So a little bit of differing opinions between the platforms. That's really interesting. I do kind of want to tally up the total votes and see what the average between like both was, like the actual winner if you combine all the voters together. But it looks like our read is going to be None of This Is True. So let's go get that book. Okay, so for fun, I did actually calculate the totals between the YouTube poll and the Instagram poll. Obviously, I know that there must have been some sort of overlap, like maybe some of you voted on Instagram and YouTube, and then maybe some of you only voted on one of the polls. But anyways, this is just for fun. In first place, obviously, None of This Is True did win on both of the polls, so that book won overall with 263 votes. Second place was actually A Darker Shade of Magic with 183 votes. Third place was Tress of the Emerald Sea with 149 votes, and then fourth was What the River Knows by 130 votes. I guess that kind of makes sense. I know What the River Knows is the newest book out of the four, so maybe it's a little more unknown still, like it just hasn't been read as much. But honestly, I feel like What the River Knows is the one that I've seen trending more lately because it's a new book. But yeah, maybe just like not as many of us have read it. But that being said, let's get our book. There she is. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. Let me just read the little synopsis for you guys. So this is a thriller. When a famous podcaster interviews a stranger promising to divulge the story of a lifetime, secrets emerge that threaten to expose the truth of the lives they've both worked hard to project and protect. Celebrating her 45th birthday at the hot new local pub, popular podcaster Alex Summer crosses paths with an unassuming woman called Josie Fair. Josie, it turns out, is also celebrating her 45th birthday. They are, in fact, birthday twins. Ooh, okay. A few days later, Alex and Josie bump into each other again, this time outside Alex's children's school. Josie has been listening to Alex's podcasts and thinks she might be an interesting subject for her series. She tells Alex, on the cusp of great changes in her life. Josie's life appears to be strange and complicated, and although Alex finds her unsettling, she can't quite resist the temptation to keep going on the project. Slowly, she starts to realize that Josie is hiding some very, very dark secrets, and before she knows it, Josie has inveigled. I have come across a word I don't know. Inveigled. I'm gonna have to look that up. Inveigled her way into Alex's life and into her home. But as quickly as she had arrived, Josie Fair disappears. Only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake, and that Alex has become the subject of her own true crime podcast, with her life and her family's lives in grave danger. Best-selling author Lisa Jewell delivers the book of her career in this absolute show-stopping work of She Said, where two women collide on their birthday night, forcing an unforgettable reckoning between two women with huge but very different ambitions for their lives. This sounds juicy. I do have to look up the word inveigled, but from the context, I'm just assuming it means like intertwined, woven in kind of a thing. This sounds like a really fun book. I used to love listening to true crime podcasts, so yeah, I can totally get into this. A lot of you have voted for this book, so I'm expecting great things. I'm excited. I have to get started on the workday as usual, but I will get into reading. Good morning, it is the next day. I just went to a Santa Claus parade outside, that's why I'm all decked out in holiday gear, but I'm kind of loving it. But okay, So, about this book, yesterday I was able to read 103 pages. Honestly, on a normal day, I probably could have read more. This book has been proving very, very quick to read. But last night I actually went out and I watched the new Hunger Games movie, and I actually really enjoyed it. I did read the book earlier this year, and I thought the book was decent. I don't think it was as good as the books in the original Hunger Games trilogy, but I did appreciate it for what it was. And I think for the movie, they did a pretty good job at adapting the book. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, but I feel like most of the reviews that I've seen that are bad have been like from people who don't understand the purpose of that movie or where it fits into the Hunger Games universe. But yeah, overall I really liked it. I think they did a really good job with portraying Snow as a younger person. It's been a while since that movie's been out, but yeah, I wanted to watch it with Linda, and yesterday was just like the first time that we were both available to watch it together. But yeah, that took basically my entire evening because that movie is so dang long. I literally left at like 5:30 to go to the theater and didn't get home till like 9:45, and then it was bedtime. But yeah, it was really fun. Probably could have read like 200 pages within that time. So yeah, I'm just past page 100 of this book, and I did write a couple of notes yesterday on things I wanted to say about it. So far, I think the whole idea of this book is super fun. In the plot summary, they do mention a lot that this book is about a podcaster, but while reading, it seems like that podcast eventually morphed into something bigger, and it takes the form of this sort of Netflix true crime documentary. So throughout the book, we're kind of cutting through like two different timelines. The first timeline is in the past, and that's the main timeline, and then once in a while we'll jump to this present day, I guess, timeline where we get little clips of this Netflix documentary that they've filmed, I guess, after the fact. Parts of it are being told through like an interview format, and I find that really reminiscent of Daisy Jones and the Six. I know that's not the first book or the only book to have done an interview format, but that's the most recent book I've read that has done that. So yeah, it's giving me Daisy Jones and the Six vibes, but more creepy. I think Lisa Jewell, the author, is also doing a really good job at just setting a creepy mood by just little things, like specifically choosing words to set a creepier vibe. There was a part at the very beginning of the book where one of our characters pets her dog, essentially. Like, the whole situation in context is just her dog walking up to her and then her petting her dog. But the way that action was described, hold on, I wrote down the quote. She cups his skull under her hand. So yeah, just little things like that really make this book good, I think. It's a super quick read the way it's written, and so far I think it seems pretty obvious where the story's going. Like, I can see where we're leading to, but as with most thriller books, there's usually a huge twist at the end and something unexpected happens. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, those are just my initial thoughts on this book so far. Hopefully I will have some more time to read today. It's actually kind of gloomy and cloudy and like possibly rainy today, so I'm probably gonna spend most of the time indoors and likely reading. That's it for now. I just received my December book of the month. I'm so excited. I'm always excited about book of the month. Woo! Are you excited for book of the month?
I'm stoked.
I saw this on this month's box and I was like, I'm gonna read this for Bookmas because it is Christmas themed. These are so cute! Holiday book stickers. Anyway, so they had a couple of holiday selections in this month's box, but I decided to choose this one. It's called The Kingdom of Sweets, and it's a Nutcracker retelling. I think it's like fantasy. I honestly don't know much about it. I just read the very quick book of the month description and I was like, this sounds really fun. So it's definitely not your traditional happy cozy Christmas read, but it's like a fantasy dark retelling of the Nutcracker. And I love the Nutcracker. We used to go to watch it like every single year, but then, you know, it got expensive.
So I like
What?
dancing bears.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone's Nutcracker has that. Our like Toronto production of the Nutcracker, it's always the same every year obviously, but they have a part where the bears come out and they're literally on rollerblades. The first time we watched it, Huffy cried. When the rollerblading bears came out, he started crying because he was like laughing and he like loved them so much. But yeah, very, very fond memories of the Nutcracker. And I'm really excited to read it. This is by Erica Johansson, and this is gonna be my read for my next Bookmas video. So if you guys want to read along with me, grab a copy.
Easy now, 'cause you know I've been at your beck and I follow you wherever you go.
Oh, yum.
I'm at your beck and call.
I just finished it. I have my little kitties on my lap. But okay, what the heck did I think about this book? I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm a little bit torn. And I enjoyed this book, but at the same time, I'm a little bit disappointed. I think I'm gonna give this book 3.5 stars. I will say that I enjoyed reading the entire way through. The writing style was very fun to read. It definitely kept me hooked throughout the whole thing, and I was just really into the characters, really into just seeing what was gonna happen or like what the truth really was. But I just, and I'm not gonna spoil anything obviously, but I just saw what was coming. Obviously there was like a big twist, which happens in every thriller book, and whenever I read thrillers, I want the twist to like really be unexpected. Like I want to feel twisted. And I just like wasn't shocked at the twist. It was just, I saw it coming the whole way. I knew what was gonna happen. Obviously there were like some little details that came up that I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty messed up. I didn't predict every single detail, but in terms of like the general idea of what happened, how the story turns out, I saw what was coming almost like from the beginning of the book. And so that's why I'm feeling a little disappointed, because I really wanted that feeling where you're reading a thriller and you're just like, ugh, and like your jaw drops and your mind gets blown and it's like, oh my gosh. But I didn't get that feeling. Maybe if you haven't read that many thrillers, this might be a good one to read. But yeah, that being said, I did enjoy the writing, I enjoyed the journey, I enjoyed the adventure. I just wish the ending was a little more impactful for me. Overall, pretty decent, 3.5 stars. I guess I will pick up a second book for this video. I did get through this in 2 days. What was the book that you guys voted as second? Let's pick that one up. Oh, okay, exciting. A Darker Shade of Magic was in second place from like the total combined votes from Instagram and YouTube. So I'm gonna pick up that book next. Let's go get it. I'm gonna have to disrupt their little nap time so I can get up off the couch. Sorry in advance, kitties, but I have to go get another book. Ugh, I always feel so bad when I have to like slide out from under them. Okay, Sage, you're okay. You can stay there. Oh, Bobs, it's gonna be really hard to slide out from under you. Okay. Oh, you're in my foot. Okay. You guys keep napping. I did it. I can't believe I actually pulled that off. Oh, I'm gonna have to squeeze it out of this pot. Oh! It might be easier this time. I was gonna say I'm gonna have to squeeze this book out of its very tight box set again, but it looks like I've already stretched out the box enough that it's easier the second time around. I'm going to start A Darker Shade of Magic. This is the first book in a fantasy trilogy by V.E. Schwab. What is this book about? Let's read the summary. Kel is one of the last Antari magicians with a rare coveted ability to travel between parallel Londons. Okay, so we're set in London again. Between parallel Londons, red, gray, white, and once upon a time, black. Kel was raised in Arness, Red London, and officially serves the Maresh Empire as an ambassador, traveling between the frequent bloody regime changes in White London and the court of George III in the dullest of Londons, the one without any magic left to see. Unofficially, Kel is a smuggler, servicing people willing to pay for even the smallest glimpses of a world they'll never see. It is a defiant hobby with dangerous consequences, which Kel is now seeing firsthand. After an exchange goes awry, I don't think I've ever said that word out loud. I've only read it in my mind, and now that I say it out loud, it's a very weird word to say. Moving on, Kel escapes to Grey London and runs into Delilah Bard, a cut purse with lofty aspirations. She first robs him and then saves him from a deadly enemy, and finally forces Kel to spirit her to another world for a proper adventure. Perilous magic is afoot and treachery lurks at every turn. To save all of the worlds, they'll first need to stay alive. Okay, that sounds very complicated. I don't understand this whole red, gray, white, and black parallel Londons thing, so I'm gonna have to learn more about that and try and wrap my head around it. But I've heard so many good things about this series. A lot of people say this is like their favorite fantasy series ever, so I have high hopes. Good morning, my friends. First of all, apologies in advance. It might be a little loud right now because my dishwasher and my laundry machine are both running right now, so there will likely be a bit of background noise in this clip. But I did get started with A Darker Shade of Magic yesterday. I didn't read too much. I got up to page 58. So far, really loving it. The world building is really cool. I don't know too much about it yet, but basically, just as it says in the plot summary that we read together, there are 4 different Londons. 3 of them currently exist. One of them kind of got wiped out, but there are 4 different Londons, or actually 4 different worlds that are all parallel to each other. And in the story, we're just focusing on London because our character like just stays in London. That's where he works. But in theory, there's like literally 4 parallel like Earths. So that's really cool. I'm really loving that. The entire magic system in general is really interesting. And again, I'm only on page 58, so I'm still learning things. I'm still kind of getting into it. But yeah, overall, the idea, the concept of this magic is really cool and I'm really enjoying it. Lots of mysteries and unknown things still to uncover, obviously. But yeah, what a great way to start the book. I am definitely hooked. Something I found really interesting though is that the chapter numbers in this book just restart with every like part in this book. So I'll show you, hold on. Part 1, The Traveler. We obviously start with chapter 1 and then we count up and then we end at chapter 3. After that, we have part 2 called Red Royal, and when we flip to the first page of this part, we reset the chapter back to 1. So I didn't notice this at first and I was reading, and then I got to like part 2, chapter 2 or something, and I saw this page and I was like, why am I on chapter 2 again? I'm like, at first I thought it was a misprint or something, but then I realized what was going on. And yeah, at every part, the chapter numbers restart. Like we go to 3 and then we're back at 1. I just found that a unique way to split up a book. Today is kind of like a chores day, but also kind of a lazy day. It's that time of the month for me. So I've just been kind of like sitting at home and not doing much, but that is the perfect time to read books, right? So yeah, I just meal prepped. I'm doing some laundry and it's kind of another gloomy type day out. Like there's no blue sky. I have not seen a blue sky in a very long time. We're just gonna continue to do some chores and hopefully fit some reading in there. Guys, it's the next day or maybe a day later. I don't actually remember when the last time I filmed was, but I have finished A Darker Shade of Magic. I actually finished reading this last night. I obviously really loved it. I'm sorry I didn't give you any more reading updates while I was going through, but this was just one of those books that hooked me, got me in. And when a book has you hooked that well, it honestly is really hard to think about putting down the book, turning on the camera, and speaking your thoughts. This book deserves uninterrupted reading time. I loved it, and I haven't done this in a while, but I'm gonna give this book 5 stars. I'm gonna do it. This was so good. The world was so cool. The magic system was also really interesting. At first, I feel like when I read the synopsis on the back of the book, I was kind of intimidated about the description of the world. I was like, oh no, there's like 3 or 4 different worlds that I have to keep track of on top of this whole new magic system and all these new terms that I don't know of. But I feel like the way V.E. Schwab built the world in the magic system in this book was really helpful. She didn't give you like all the information at once, which I find some fantasy books do. And when you get all the info like dumped on you right at the beginning of the book, I find it really hard to get into the world and to like really truly understand everything that's going on. But I feel like V.E. Schwab in this book very gradually introduced you to things. And yeah, I feel like she did a really good job at like helping the reader make sense of this world that could have been a lot more complicated. Another thing I loved about this book, and I think one of the big reasons why this book seemed to just fly by so quickly, is that the chapters are really short. And as someone who reads a lot of fantasy, there's just something about a long chapter that makes things seem like they drag on. I feel like keeping chapters short is like a really good tool for authors to use to keep their books and their stories moving. It just forces you to like not dwell on one thing for too long. So I feel like that was done really well. And then also the villain characters in this book were so good. And I think that's like a V.E. Schwab staple, because when I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I thought the same thing. I was like, this villain is so interesting, and not even in the way that like I'm rooting for the villain. Like I still feel like I'm rooting for the good guys, but the villains are just so interesting and fun to read about. I don't know, I feel like V.E. Schwab is just really strong at writing villains and I love it. This book was so good. It kind of surprised me because I knew it was gonna be good because I loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So I already knew that I liked V.E. Schwab's writing, but I didn't expect to be so like sucked into this because I feel like this is a book or a series that I don't hear of too much. I tend to hear more about other fantasy series that like get more trendy than this one. But yeah, this one really surprised me and I'm totally giving this a 5 star. So yeah, if you're looking for a good fantasy to read this winter, I recommend this. I feel like it really fits into winter reading, even though there's nothing specific in this book really that alludes to winter. It just feels like a winter book. Like I wouldn't read this book in the summer. I mean, I probably would, but it just fits more in winter. So yeah, this was really great. I'm so excited because I do have the rest. Oh my gosh, Sage. I do have the rest of this box set already on my shelf, so I am all set to go on with this series and I'm really excited. With that being said, I'm going to leave this video here because I have to get started on my next one. I hope you liked it. Thank you for helping me choose my books this week. And yeah, if you did like this video, please leave me a like and a comment. If you don't know what to comment down below, give me another book rec because this turned out very well. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!